YouTube Bazeko in the Goat House is back with another NFL offseason plan video. This one for the LA Rams, who actually kind of are in a tough spot for this offseason. We'll break down why. But in these videos, I play GM, re-sign players, cut players, fix the cap situation if we can, make some major signings, and then do a 7-round mock draft. Doing this for every single team, going in draft order. Full NFL coverage here. We actually have 2 channels now. The newer channel, you'll find a link in the description and the comments. Please subscribe to both. Trying to get the subscriber rate to kind of match, so need your help there. And then we have a Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. Twitter and Instagram, we always post on there, answering questions on the Twitter. And you'll find the link down below for those as well. So we really appreciate it if you can help us out by following to those. First thing I like to do, kind of break down the team, break down the depth chart. Some of the guys in red are free agents. But yeah, not a whole bunch of draft capital, not a whole bunch of cap space, and there are areas of need. The offensive line was pretty rough last year, to say the least, and that kind of created the struggles for the offense in general. But Jared Goff, Todd Gurley couldn't really get much going, and the receiver units, a part that I do like, having a pretty good trio up there. But you could get better on the offensive line, of course. And looking at the defense, I thought Dante Fowler was a guy that was underrated last year, played pretty well, pretty productive as a pass rusher. I thought he created sacks for others. It just wasn't just Aaron Donald creating the sacks. So him being a free agent is kind of tough. Aaron Donald needs more help on the D-line, and even if they get Fowler back, they definitely need more pass rush. Corey Littleton had a very good year, but he's also a free agent. Could use some more help in the inside linebacker position. The Jalen Ramsey situation, they traded away a lot for a proven top-tier corner, but where's the value of the cornerback position? I don't think it's at where it once was. I think it's kind of down, so I wouldn't really trade that much for a corner. The Rams did so. At least they got a proven elite one. Got to extend him, though. And the problem with that is there's so much cap space tied up for the future for this team, and so much cap taken up by just very few players that, you're going to have to spend big on another single player here. Taylor Rapp looks pretty promising. I like that draft pick a lot. But it seemed, they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but it seems like they may have to do a bit to get back there, in my opinion here. And then who we're going to cut, there's really nobody you want to cut that's ideal. Clay Mathews actually played pretty solid last year. But you need all the extra cap you can get here, and him aging, and you can get better at the position. I'm kind of on the fence on this one, but it almost feels like you have to. It's not a huge number, $3.75 million that you save, but I go ahead and do it, and you bump it up to $25.5 million in cap space. So rough situations, especially with these free agents. And it would be great to get, guys like Fowler and Littleton back. Those are the 2 main ones. Can you get them both back? I think it's possible. We've seen teams go in the negative, sign their own guys, and play throughout the season in the negative. Couple teams this year. It just makes it really tough to get better elsewhere, gain additions, to the team. Another thing is when teams kind of have the situation, they have loads of draft picks. They move back a little bit, get more draft picks. The Rams don't have a bunch of draft picks, so that's kind of a problem as well. But it is possible to get Fowler and Littleton back. We could be looking at maybe one or the other here, because I didn't list Andrew Whitworth on here, and it sounds like they're going to get him back. And I didn't bring him back because it was a down year for him. He's still probably their best offensive lineman. But yeah, obviously aging and declining. Offense line's got to get better no matter what, whether you have him back or not, for now and for the future. So I think that's kind of a waste of a 1-year deal there. So I would rather have Fowler and Littleton back. If you had to decide on which one, Fowler, pass rush is so important. So by that, Fowler might have done more for the team, even though Littleton did a lot, whole lot, but at the same time, can you find a cheaper pass rusher that can also have success, with a guy like Aaron Donald who's coming from the D-line? Obviously, it's going to be harder to find another Corey Littleton. So if I have to choose, my priority is going to be at Littleton. Actually, I'm kind of back and forth on that one because I love Fowler's game last year. I actually think he's improving, and he's still young. So that's tough. You may be able to get both back, but since it's not a prediction video, if I'm predicting them to get Whitworth back, that's going to hurt the case for getting both of these guys back. And then there's a shortage on good kickers in the NFL, so looking at getting Zerline back for sure. But I mean, again, you're limited on that cap space, and that's what makes it tough. You want to, there's going to be some possible pay cuts. They're going to shift some contracts around, maybe backload the contracts a little bit. I can go off and list, a number of players they can do that with. They'll make it happen. So a little more, I believe a little more cap space will be freed than just the $25.5 million. So I guess that's a positive. And then who are we going to sign? Obviously, you cannot go big at all here. Just looking at some guys that fit. Timmy Jernigan, who's had success in the interior defensive line, was hurt this last year. With the Eagles, but I think a guy that can move around, nose tackle, D tackle, they need somebody else in there with Aaron Donald. Brocker's a free agent. Don't think they bring him back. They need somebody else in there, but he also needs to be somebody at a decent cost, so that's why it's tough. Joe Haeg is actually a backup for the Colts, but very capable of being a starter, especially coming from that Colts team. It's kind of a cheaper option to look out for to be a starter next year. So the Rams definitely need another guard. Losing Saffold last year, the play was down at the offensive line positions there. So grab a guy like that. It's going to be cheaper, some upside. And then Bruce Irvin, who is going to be just a very cheap veteran option because you're going to need more pass rush help. So, I mean, this kind of stinks. You wish there was some bigger signings, but the way the cap space sits, they can have better additions than this, actual major signings. But that would mean a lot of guys are walking in free agency. You're losing out on, maybe they're only bringing back Whitworth. Maybe they're not bringing Zerline. Maybe they're not bringing back Littleton or Fowler. And then we'll see some major signings again. I think they groomed those two players. Littleton kind of came out of nowhere. It was supposed to be a nobody. Was originally a special teams player. Just kind of sucks when you lose a guy like that. And Fowler was kind of a bust, but everyone's, how is this guy a bust? So much potential, so good out of Florida. And then he gets in here, he fits this defense better than he fit Jacksonville's defense, and he was still very, very young, and they kind of groomed him too. So it kind of just sucks when you lose those guys. So that's why I kind of went the route of getting those guys back, because I actually think those guys can get better in the same system. So that's the tough part. That's the tough part with the Rams, and that's why it's a rough situation to be in for this offseason. Definitely one of the worst situations for a team for this 2020 offseason. And then we go to the draft, and I didn't bring Whitworth back, and either way, if you do bring him back, you need offensive line for the future. Sadiq Charles was still here at 52. I like him a lot, was big time for LSU. Plug-and-play guy at left tackle. And then Logan Stenberg from Kentucky, experience at center and guard. That could actually help the Rams. Didn't have Sullivan at center this year, and the play kind of went downhill there, and they also could use guards as well. So you double up on offensive line early, because that was the difference. They went to the Super Bowl one year, and they had an off year, and I guess we're still close to the playoffs, but they had an off year, and the biggest difference was offensive line play and quarterback play. And I think the reason the quarterback play went down was because of the offensive line. So that's kind of your main priority here. And even though you don't have a first round pick, you get two potential day one starters, impact players here. Zuniga from Florida, productive edge rusher, guy that fits the 3-4, so you're going to need another guy in there for sure. So you get one that could make an impact. You could look to guys like Okoronkwo from Oklahoma to step up. I liked him a few years ago. Wish I'd seen a little more of him so far, but still very young. That's a guy that can step up, the next guy they can groom. Muhammad Berry from Nebraska, you're going to need more linebackers. It's pretty much Corey Littleton carrying that group. They do have some solid other guys, maybe Micah Kaiser, a guy that can sneak up there, possibly be an impact, but you need some more guys there. And, I like where they're at with their starting corners for now, but the depth is pretty close to non-existent. They did get David Long last year. Maybe he's going to be replacing at the slot corner for the future, because their cap space situation with Nickel Roby-Coleman there is currently a very good slot corner for them, but they need corner depth. So here with way down there at 211 pick, Reggie Robinson II from Tulsa. The focus here is the offensive line. It's a really rough offseason for the Rams, just the way it's kind of laid out, and that's unfortunate. Too much money tied up at very few players. The Goff contract, the Gurley contract, it's kind of rough, but they still can come away getting better, and they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so in 2018 there. So it's not like an offseason that's this brutal will make them a bad team or anything. They're still going to be a good team. They're still going to be competing to get back there. I don't see why they can't, but yeah, it might be tough to get a whole lot better this offseason. So curious to see what they do. If they try to clear some cap, maybe they cut some surprise players or they trade some surprise players. That's very possible. Maybe some pay cuts, or not necessarily pay cuts, but kind of backload, shift some contracts around. Problem with that, though, is they do have some money tied up for the future as well. So we'll see what they come up with. Very, very intriguing team here. But again, doing this for every single team going in draft order. The teams that don't have a first-round pick, they're getting plugged in at their original first-round pick for the order here that we do these videos. But full NFL content, we got 2 channels. Please subscribe to both. We got Twitter, Instagram. Follow both of those. You'll find a link in the description in the comments for all of those. That's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.